Hey y'all, what's going on? It's Linda Lloyd, author of Sis I Got You, here for Mom Ownership Monday. Hey, we do got a love, not a romantic love, but I got a love for you. And because I got a love for you, sis, I'm going to make sure that I tell you these 10 things that you absolutely need to avoid when looking to buy a house, or if you've already secured your mortgage. So this message today, again, is going to be for people who are interested in buying a house in the next 6 months to a year, or people who have already received their pre-approval and are out shopping. Now, your lender is going to explain a lot of this information to you, but as a decent realtor, a great realtor, me, but your realtor being decent should want to go over some of these things with you. And if you don't have a realtor, if you're at the stage where, girl, I don't even know what to do, I'm just tuning in because I'm trying to find out what I need to know for the future, then stay tuned because this will benefit you too. But realtors want to share this information with you because, listen, if I'm working with you on a deal and you do one of these 10 things, I mean, we could have been working together for 6 months, and depending on one of these things that you do, could totally throw it away. It's like, nah, I'm a better realtor than I am a singer. But yeah, no, if you do one of these 10 things, you definitely could throw away your opportunity of purchasing a house at that moment. So let's get into it. Funny story real quick. If you take a look at my real estate page, Close with Linda, I took a couple to buy a house, to go look at a house locally here in Jersey. And when I pulled up, I heard music blasting. Now, it gets dark early. It's like, I don't know, 6, almost 7 o'clock at night. And I'm like, is that a car or a house? Tell me why this house was like blasting the Lox. You know, the Lox is it's a rap group. And I'm like, okay, this is not promising for showing a house to somebody who wants to live in this neighborhood with their small child. So, and the entire time we were touring the property, they were blasting this music. But thankfully, my clients saw past the Lox blasting in the background, and they decided that they were still interested in the house and wanted to put an offer on it. So just on what my realtor had on, there's some really interesting things that I experienced as a realtor. But you as a buyer, that's one of the things that you're going to be looking at when you go to view homes once you get your pre-approval, is not only the actual house itself, but like what's surrounding your house, and can you see yourself being a part of that community. So I thought that was funny. Let's dig right in. So starting with number 1. The first thing, well, not the first, this is in no particular order of importance. And I kind of took this so again, I'm a licensed realtor in New Jersey, and I work for a company where we have financing in-house. So you could come to us and get a realtor and get financing for your house. And our mortgage manager put together a list of things that buyers should not do. And I kind of borrowed from that list. So one thing is, you absolutely do not want to change jobs. You hear me? And if you have your copy of Sis I Got You, shameless plug, www.sisIgotYoubook.com. If you read Sis I Got You, you would know I tell you that as well. If you are looking to buy a house, please do not switch jobs. You need consistency in employment. Depending on the lender, you're going to need to be employed in the same place from 18 to 24 months. I also talk about in Sis I Got You that, you could possibly change jobs if you're going to be working in the same field. But again, before you do that, you want to make sure that you speak with your lender, because your lender is going to let you know whether underwriting is going to accept that move or not. So if you do, again, have to change jobs, like absolutely, it typically has to be in the same field, but you're going to want to check with your lender. And don't become self-employed. Again, just hold on, right, until you close and you get your keys. Don't make a rash decision like, I can't stand this job. My boss is getting on my nerves. I smell their breath through the mask. I can't take it anymore. You do what you got to do to make sure that you make it through. until you get your keys. The second thing, this is so huge. It seems like it's common sense, but I've been learning, right, throughout my life that common sense is not common. Please, all capital letters, please don't buy a car. Don't buy a car if you're thinking about getting a house in the next year, unless you absolutely have to, like, oh snap, the car broke down, like, I gotta get something else. And even then, like, talk to your realtor about it. Hopefully, it's nothing wrong with talking to a realtor prior to you getting pre-approved, because one of the things that I like to do is I like to create a whole strategy around my future clients and what they want to do, because I advise you. So if you come to me a year out and say, Linda, I'm not ready, but I'm thinking about buying in the future, I will talk to you about where you are now and how we can put some things together, how you can get in position so that you can be ready to buy a house. And you can do that with a lender as well. But don't buy a car, because it's going to impact your debt to income ratio. And your debt to income ratio needs to stay within a certain percentage in order for you to get approved for a loan. And if you purchase a car, that's going to increase your debt to income ratio, which is going to decrease your opportunity to get approved for a loan if your income has not increased significantly. The other thing is, you definitely don't want to buy a car when you've already gotten pre-approval. So if you're at the point where it's like, okay, I got the pre-approval, I'm shopping for a house, you better not buy that car before you get a house. The bank could possibly instantly cancel out your loan, and then you're screwed. And if you read Sis I Got You, I talk about that in detail as well. Number 3, don't use your credit cards excessively, or don't fall back on any payments. So when you get approved for your loan in the beginning, they kind of do like a preliminary search on your credit history, your job, things of that nature, your bank statements or your bank accounts. But before you get your final closing date, the bank is going to run your stuff through. And if they see that you are delinquent in payments prior to you getting an approval, that may impact you on getting an approval, and they may not, right? The older your late payments are, though, the less it has an impact on your credit. So then that's something that you can talk to the lender about. And you can kind of pull your credit prior to you even meeting with a lender and see certain things. Like, you don't necessarily have to know your score, but there are ways that you can pull your actual credit report, and you can know what's on your credit report. And that way you can have an educated conversation. Nobody is shocking you like, oh, ma'am, you have, 5 late payments from this particular creditor. It's like, no, you want to do your research and know what's on your credit report beforehand so that you can have an educated, an informed conversation about where you are with your stuff versus somebody having to tell you. So do not use up those cards, and do not fall back in terms of being late on any of them. Number 4, don't spend the money that you have saved for your closing costs. All right, now you done got the money, you put the down payment down, you're good, you have that, but you have that 5 to 8% in the bank account in the stash waiting for your closing costs. It may be tempting. I don't know what your circumstances may be, but even in an emergency, that money does not exist to you, because the last thing you want to do is to have worked so hard to get yourself in position to finally find a house, get your offer accepted, put the down payment, go through inspections, get the house appraised, and everything is going. You just waiting for that clear to close. And all of that coming, you dipping that money real quick, and you're like, oh, I'll be able to replace it. And something comes up and you cannot replace it. It will be congratulations, you played yourself, because you won't be able to close on that house if you don't have the funds to bring to the closing table to cash to close. Okay, so don't touch that account. Do not touch the account that you have set aside with the closing cost funds. Number 5, we're halfway there, y'all. Don't lie about any debts or liabilities that you have. It's not a if, it's a when that they're going to find out. They, meaning the bank, they run so many different searches on you. Do not play yourself, sis. Do not lie, because it's going to come up. And if you lie and it comes up, then you're going to be seen as not being credible. Could something possibly come up that you weren't aware of? Yes, which is why I want you to pull your credit reports prior to. Again, there's free ways that you could pull your credit reports without necessarily, you may not get the score, but you'll know what's on your report. You want to know that prior to talking to a lender, again, so you could be familiar. You know, nobody has to tell you about your situation. You would already be familiar. But don't lie. You ain't got to lie, Craig. You ain't got to lie. All right? It's not necessary. Again, you want to be as open and transparent as possible because your lender is a part of your buying squad, and your buying squad's total objective is to make sure that you get the keys and get into your new home. Number 6. This is funny, but it's not funny. Do not buy any furniture before you close. So depending where you are in your home buying journey, you know, if you've already gotten a pre-approval, offer's been accepted, and you're waiting, and you get a clear close date, you're thinking like, oh, I'm going to close on December 30th, so I'll just go ahead and buy this couch, or I'll just go ahead and buy this chair because I'm about to close in a week or so. Sis, don't play yourself. Can I tell you what happened to me? Well, again, if you read Sis, I Got You, I'll go into more details. But basically, the short of the long is I bought a whole couch. I'm not going to show y'all my couch because I got my recording equipment on it and figuring that stuff out. But it was plum, and purple is my favorite color, and I love purple. So I had a date to close, and then it got pushed back. And then it got pushed back. But I bought this couch thinking it was on sale and I was going to get it because I'm about to move. Well, they're like, okay, well, we have this couch for you. We're going to deliver it on this date. And if we cannot deliver it on this date, then we're going to charge you to hold it. Congratulations. I played myself because I purchased this plum couch that I just had to have. I did not close when I anticipated to close, and so I had to pay for the store to hold my furniture longer. And if I would have followed the golden rule, number 6, of not buying any furniture before I officially closed, then I would not have had to come out of my pocket for extra. And when you are purchasing a house, every dime, every penny counts. So, you know, moving in itself is a big to-do. So spending extra money on a couch that you bought on sale for the store to hold it is a waste of money for sure. Number 7, do not make any unnecessary credit inquiries. And this is interesting because period when we're shopping, but especially around this time, everybody want to offer you a card to save 10% here, 15% there. You want to be locked tight, ironclad like a vault, okay? Nobody should be checking your credit. The only person who should be checking your credit is your lender, okay? Or lenders. And here's why. When the bank goes to pull your credit and they see that Macy's, Nordstrom's, any store, period, is pulling your credit, that means that you are not being dedicated to your home buying process. You are trying to spend money in other places. And that's going to send off red flags to them and make them concerned that you're not staying committed to your process. Do you not have the money to buy these things? Why do you need to open up a credit card? Well, if you open up a credit card and you use these said credit cards that you've gotten approved for, this is going to also impact your debt to income ratio, bringing your debt up. And if your income has not increased and your debt increases, you run the risk of making yourself disqualified for the loan. Remember, just because you gotten a pre-approval and a bank says that they're willing to give you money to buy a house does not mean that they absolutely have to. So you would be so upset with yourself if you got under contract and then you went out this holiday season to do your Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa shopping, and you're like, I could save 15%. Saving 10 to 15%, letting them run your credit for you to get a card, now you done lost out in your house. What savings is more important to you? Saving the mortgage, saving being approved for the mortgage, or saving 10 to 15% on your transaction? Only you can answer that question, sis. I know what I would do or wouldn't do. All right. Number 8, don't make any large deposits to your bank account. You're like, the bank wants to see that I have money, right? Why wouldn't I make a large deposit? Like, they know that I have money. That's not the thinking for the bank. All of your money, and I feel like I got hair on my lips. This looks weird. And I do. Y'all can't see it, but definitely had lock hair on my lips. Anyway, so yeah, like it makes sense, right? Like, let me just drop 10 bands in my bank account real quick so the bank can know I got money coming in. You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that because when you're buying a house, your bank, don't come for me, Corey. Your bank, when you're buying a house, the money in your accounts have to be seasoned. So if somebody was going to give you money or you were going to put money in your account and in large sums, you need to do that prior to you going through the process of getting approved. Because the bank is going to be watching your account like a hawk, and they have the right to ask you about any transaction, depending on the program. So like you all know, I shared in my book and here that I purchased my house through the NACA program. Well, if you pull out anything over $100 out of the bank, you have to write a letter of explanation as to what the money was for. And they have a right to do that. They want to know that, listen, you are borrowing hundreds and thousands of dollars from them. Depending on where you are in the country, maybe you're only borrowing $100,000. But whatever the amount is, you're borrowing a good amount of money from them. And they want to have confidence that not only are you going to pay them back, but you're financially responsible. You're not just out here, making it rain and making transactions and not being aware of you making such a huge purchase. So your money has to be seasoned. Now, a lot of lenders will allow you to receive gifts from people, right? So Corey, for example, you're my brother. They allow you to accept gifts from family. So if Corey is my brother and he's like, you know what, Linda, I'm so proud of you purchasing a house. I'm going to give you $5,000 to go to your home buying process. Well, depending on a lender, Corey would either have to fill out a form or write a letter to say that he's gifting me this money, because it's like, okay, he's gifting me this money. I don't have to pay him back. I'm not borrowing it, because they want to make sure that, I'm not increasing my debt. The other thing that may happen, depending on a lender, they may want to track that money from Corey to find out, where did Corey get $5,000 from and why is he giving it to you? So again, just to stress the point of number 8, do not make any large deposits into your bank account while you're going through the process. If my brother wanted to if I wanted to minimize the already bunch of paperwork that I have to do in the home buying process, I would have Corey give me that money and commit to me 2 to 3 months before I even show my bank account to the lender. That way the money is already there. I'm like, this is my savings, and they don't have to ask me any questions. Again, that's what I would do, but you feel free, if you're curious, to reach out to a lender and ask them even prior to you being starting the process of getting approved. Number 9, don't change banks during the process of you purchasing a house. Don't do that. Don't do that. Do not change banks. Why? The bank is already combing through everything, scrutinizing your finances. You don't want to raise any red flags, right? Why did you close this account? Why are you opening another account? Like, if you've already been pre-approved, just rock out with who you have until you get the keys. Like, sometimes we just got to manage our emotions, even if we really don't like something or really don't like a particular institution, or like I said, talking about the jobs, the managers, the owners, whatever the case may be. You have to keep your mind focused on your particular goal at the time, which is to get the keys. So you might have to kiss a few frogs, or you might have to smell a little foulness until you get to your goal, accomplish your goal. And when you accomplish your goal, the flowers will be waiting there for you. I would pick up my flowers and show you, but they a little struggling with the discoloration, but they still smell good and they're blooming. The point is, they bring me joy, right? And if this is what I wanted, I would do what I needed to do, smell the poo until I get to the beautiful smelling lilies, right? So another thing is, prior to you starting your home buying process, like going to a lender to get pre-approved, this is just a 9-1. Try not to have 50-11 bank accounts. Like, you don't want to be having 5 and 6 bank accounts, and then you got to show, 30 to 90 days, or really 60 to 90 days of bank statements for each one of your bank accounts. Try to consolidate if you can. Again, that was me. I had a bank account because I got a savings for this. This is my bucket for this. This is my bucket for that. It was so annoying. So if you can, try to minimize the number of bank accounts that you have when you go to your lender to get pre-approved. And last, but certainly not least, first of all, whether or not you are purchasing a house, you really shouldn't do this, but to each its own. Number 10, we made it. Don't co-sign for anybody. Nobody. Don't co-sign for nobody. Nobody. How many? None. Nobody. All right, you get the point. But why is that? Remember, everything is impacting your debt to income ratio. So if Kathy, right, if she, who is my sister, if she wants to buy a car and she doesn't have the finances to buy a car, and I'm like, I'm gonna hook my sister up. She out here, she loyal, she be holding me down. I can co-sign for her for a car, right? And so if the car is $10,000, hypothetically speaking, let's say $20,000. That $20,000 now gets counted towards my debt to income ratio. And if my income has not increased significantly, that is going to weigh me all the way down and just wipe me out of having an opportunity to purchase, period, or at the same level of purchasing power that I did before. So just as a rule of thumb, if the person can't afford to get it on their own, then maybe you help them by putting them in position to get their credit together. And if you don't know where to go, there's resources, but you don't put yourself in position. So whether you're trying to buy a car right now today, if you know you're trying to buy a car, I would say in the next 2 years, I wouldn't co-sign. First of all, I wouldn't co-sign for somebody to buy a car, period. But again, do what you feel is right. But for this, I would even venture out to say 2 years, not even just the 6 months to a year. If you know you're going to buy a house within the next 2 years, don't co-sign on a car for somebody, because you want to give them the opportunity to pay that joint down so that your debt to income ratio could be lower. So these are the 10 things that you absolutely need to avoid if you are looking to purchase a house in the near future. So I'm going to run through them really quickly again, and then we're going to wrap. Because, Mom, if you're anything like me, I don't know if you put the kids to bed already. I put my honey bunny to bed. He had a fever. He was not feeling well. So I washed him, gave him some medicine, wiped him down, got his boogies, and we're good. So I'm going to let you get to dinner if you didn't get to dinner, or finish putting the kids down, but I want to run through this list again. Number 1, do not change jobs or become self-employed if you are looking to purchase a house. Number 2, do not buy a car. Remember, you do not want to increase your debt to income ratio. Number 3, do not use the current credit cards that you have excessively or fall back on any payments, not even 1 month, sis. Number 4, do not spend this money that you have saved for your closing costs. You, in your mind, you got a plan, but you don't know what God's plan is. So don't mess with the money that he allowed you to be able to put in this account to have available for your closing costs. Just don't touch it. Wait till you get your keys. Don't lie. You ain't got to lie. Do not lie, number 5, about the debts and liabilities that you have. It's not an if, it's a when in terms of when you're going to be caught. Number 6, don't buy any furniture before you close. Not when you get your clear to close date. Don't buy any furniture before you get the actual keys to your houses. Number 7, don't make any unnecessary credit inquiries. Do not apply for nobody's card. I don't care if they are promising a poodle with the approval of the card and you always wanted a dog, or your kids always wanted a dog. They're going to have to chill out and wait till you get the keys. It's not worth it. All right. Number 8. Don't make any large deposits into your bank account. Remember, the money that's in your account needs to be seasoned by the lenders. So if it's not by the lenders, but it needs to be seasoned, meaning that it had been there for a while. So if you're going to get a large deposit put into your account, make sure you do so before you have the bank you apply for a mortgage and have them snooping around your finances. Number 9, don't change banks while you're in the process of purchasing. Just don't do it. It'll be a headache. And the 9.1, don't have a bunch of bank accounts. Go ahead and consolidate to the smallest number of accounts that you can, just to make it easier on yourself, because you're going to have to produce paperwork for every single bank account that you have. And last but not least, number 10, do not co-sign for anyone. Again, you don't want to co-sign for anyone because you don't want to bring your debt to income ratio down. It's not even just like, oh, well, they're promising to pay. Okay, they may be a great person that pays all of their bills on time. However, just the mere fact that your name is associated with the debt for that particular car or whatever it is that they need a co-signer for, that debt is going to count as your debt and bring you down. And you don't need the weight of anybody else's irresponsibility or immaturity as it relates to credit, because they're not credit worthy for whatever reason. You don't want that to impact your opportunities on having a house. So I'm so glad that I was able to bring you these 10 things that you should absolutely avoid if you're looking to buy houses. And I want you to reach out to me and let me know, what topics would you like me to cover on Mom Ownership Mondays? It is my very, very honor and pleasure to be able to bring this information to you. And I want to make sure that you are able to get in a home for you and your family and that you're comfortable. So if there's anything that you would like to know more about, please don't hesitate to put it in the comments or shoot me a DM. What topics would you like me to cover for Mom Ownership Monday? All right. Have a good night, and I look forward to seeing y'all next week.